Hymns of Bharadwaja, Mandala 6, Sukta 1. O potent fire, thou wert the first thinker of this thought, and the priest of the call. O male, thou hast created everywhere around thee a force invulnerable to overpower every force. And now strong for sacrifice, thou hast taken thy session in the seat of aspiration, one aspired to, a flamen of the call, an imparter of the impulse. Men, building the Godheads, have grown conscious of thee, the chief and first, and followed to a mighty treasure. In thee awake, they followed after the treasure, as in the wake of one who walks on a path with many possessions. In the wake of the vast, glowing, visioned, embodied fire that casts its light always and forever. Travelers with surrender to the plane of the Godhead, seekers of inspired knowledge, they won an inviolate inspiration. They held the sacrificial names and had delight in thy happy vision. The peoples increase thee on the earth, both kinds of riches of men increase thee. O fire, our pilot through the battle, thou art the deliverer whom we must know, ever a father and mother to human beings. Dear and servable is this fire in men. A rapturous priest of the call has taken up his session, strong for sacrifice. Pressing the knee, may we come to thee with obeisance of surrender, when thou flamest a light in the house. O fire, we desire thee, the God to whom must rise our cry. We, the right thinkers, the seekers of bliss, the builders of the Godheads. O fire, shining with light, thou leadest men through the vast, luminous world of heaven. To the seer, the master of creatures who rules over the eternal generations of peoples, the smiter, the bull of those that see, the mover to the journey beyond who drives us, the purifying flame, the power in the sacrifice, fire, the regent of the treasures. O fire, the mortal has done his sacrifice and achieved his labor, who has worked out the gift of the oblation with the fuel of thy flame, and wholly learned the way of the offering by his prostrations of surrender. He lives in thy guard and holds in himself all desirable things. O fire, O son of force, may we offer to thy greatness that which is great, worshipping thee with the obeisance and the fuel and the offering, the altar and the word and the utterance. For we would work and strive in thy happy right thinking, O fire. O thou who art filled with inspiration and a passer of barriers, O thou who hast extended earth and heaven by the wideness of thy light and thy inspired discoveries of knowledge, shine wider yet in us with thy large and solid and opulent massings, O fire. O Prince of riches, fix always in us that in which are the gods. Settle here many herds for the one begotten Son. In us may there be the happy things of true inspiration, and the multitude of the large impulsions from which evil is far. O King, O Fire, let me enjoy by thee and thy princehood the riches, many riches in many ways. For, O Fire of many blessings, there are many treasures for thy worshipper in thee, the King. And so treating the inspiration and revelation, communication and expression of this cause. As I've said, fire is the image, the conception, the recollection of that which gives light, gives energy, converts things to itself, and unifies according to its singularity of being, and hence, as an awoken intuition, has perennially been recollected to the foundation of the uncaused soul and source, presence and witness of birth, that gives the full of all full in the presence of itself in all reality. And so, O potent fire, thou wert the first thinker of this thought, the eternal generation in the ingenerable, the culmination of the comprehending cause at the full aspect of association of all, the first thinker of this thought, and the priest of the call, the agency that's behind the call, resolution, and fulfillment. O male, O undergirding principle. So all of these things are understood in unseparation. So both the universal union, the Lord of love, the universal mother, and the underpinning pillar are the complements that in its own eminence of presence are always resolved unto its own being of nature and state. O male, thou hast created everywhere around thee a force invulnerable to overpower every force. And now, in this moment, in this instant, as is said in all different traditions when they come to clarifications of truth, for instance, in the first sermon of Eckhart even, he says, this perennial perfect creation and resolution that's occurring in this divine nature, it does not matter to us unless it is occurring in us. Therefore, this aspiration, this resolution, this tension in intention, this alignment to the clarification in the immanent and transcendent whole, is now strong for sacrifice, as it is through all things. Thou hast taken thy session, the presence of thy being and thy reality in us, in the seat of aspiration, one aspired to, a flamen of the call, an imparter of the impulse, giving the perfection of occasion in the medium of its continent presence and reality. And how have we clarified this? Men building the Godheads, participating to the fabric of this eminence and presence both, which in the self-clarification, self-realization, integrates to the greater whole that comprehends it beyond parts. And so, like we could say, the interactions of a branch or a tree, being the unfolded mediate interactions that are unified, reconciled, and resolved in the purity of its undiluted nature, which hence can gain agency over the functions and in the functions. So, the whole possessing the continent reality of function gives the not lost truth of presence of ground. So building the Godheads, coming unto such a presence of realization, men have grown conscious of thee, have awoken to this principle and source and communion of relation and reality, the chief and first, the first motive, presence, agent, reality and principle, and followed to a mighty treasure, the undelimited comprehension of concordance by direct relation and bearing to the being of thee. For in thee awake, so through your reality, in your presence of witness, this key is given to the lock, this interaction is given to the fulfillment of function. And so in the awake they followed after the treasure, as in the wake of one who walks on a path with many possessions. So you are still and yet move, immanent and yet transcendent. This path, the guided perfection of the plunge and clarification and transcendental perfection of uncreate reality, has all the possessions, the possession of the many, in this undiluted truth and soul of purity. In the wake of the vast, glowing, visioned, embodied fire that casts its light always and forever. So being unresisted, being uncaused, the full expression and expansion, the full definiteness, presence, competency of completeness of cause gives the full glowing, visioned, embodied fire, which gives the bounds of existential reality, which casts its light always and forever. Travelers with surrender to the plane of the Godhead, seekers of inspired knowledge, they won an inviolate inspiration. So in this situation of association, being communicated, purified, realized, enriched, traveling to true nature and being in base, they surrender to that plane of the divine nature of the Godhead, and these seekers of inspired knowledge and truth win in this presence and association an inviolate inspiration. And so to have a unfolded analogy that is contained in a continent undisrupted truth, we can have the ideas of the function and the whole. So the perennial one is the fire and the supreme fire and the sun, or the ocean and the wave. For if the ocean is the true water, then the equalizing function, the equalizing integration, which has motive and basis and presence and continuous unseparated reality in the parent cause and parent condition, integrates and resolves the full dimension of purity and reality of presence by being unseparated and continent and delivered to the superior and supernal measure. So coming to that transcendent and present cause unto itself, coming to the living and undiluted competency, recollection, communion of realization, through the unbroken essence of transcendental and present essence and origin, the ocean becomes the true self in the instance of the wave. For here there is no need or cause of separation. So they won an inviolate inspiration, so as the full foundation of the fabric of cause is enwoven in the regard and illumination in the context of that non-dual reality of that ocean, so the full comprehension, communion, focalization, perfect fulfillment in the presence of that reality and life has an inviolate inspiration. They held the sacrificial names, the supreme and supernal utterance that is one with the process and witness, and had delight in thy happy vision. So both in the vision of that and the vision that comes from that, and in that full, not lost association, the peoples increase thee on the earth, both kinds of riches of men increase thee. O fire, our pilot through the battle, thou art the deliverer whom we must know, ever a father and mother to human beings. So everything is in the revelation of that, and more than anything else, the peoples, the essence of their own reality, the core and germ of human nature, increases thee, gives the closest radiance and communion to the recollection of the supernal and supreme reality. And so we're called to increase and allow this its presence and reality unto itself. And this, that agent, presence, competency, and cause, is our pilot, our reflective resolution of fulfilled integration through all interaction, and the deliverer, the solution of peace and presence and soul, who we must know, for knowing him we can come into full concordance and engagement with the reality of its presence and witness in all reality. And ever a father and mother to human beings, ever the eternal poles of generations combining, the muse and the inspiration, the knower and the known, the content and the communion, all are unparted in the unseparation of this supernal and present reality that also gives its perfect and delivering birth. Dear and servable, precious and completely capable of being serviced, served, submitted unto, is this fire in men. A rapturous priest of the call has taken up his session, strong for sacrifice. Pressing the knee, may we come to thee with obeisance of surrender, when thou flamest a light in the house. O fire, we desire thee, the God to whom must rise our cry, we the right thinkers, the seekers of bliss, the builders of the Godheads. So in this continent and competent capacity, it's important to see that all the means of aspiration, realization, of the fulfillment of bliss, the coordination of the reconciliation and resolution in living and vibrant, intelligible and competent presence, is not lost any more than the delivering of the reality of the water and the wave is lost when it integrates to the full medium and source and soul of its communion's reality. So when we desire thee in thy perfection, we're recalled to thy higher, essential, focal and only means and witness and truth, where our nature, our communion, our home, and the supernal margin come to be aspects in and of the same. O fire, shining with light, thou leadest men through the vast luminous world of heaven. To the seer, the master of creatures, who rules over the eternal generations of peoples, the smiter, the bull of those that see, the mover to the journey beyond who drives us, the purifying flame, the power and the sacrifice, fire the regent of the treasures. O fire, the mortal has done his sacrifice and achieved his labor, who has worked out the gift of the oblation with the fuel of thy flame. So when have things come to the resolution of their integral reality? Things have come to their full realization of the presence in the whole when they equalize the form delivered in and of and through that whole in its immanent, transcendent, and fundamental presence. So fulfilling that foundation of function, living to the rousing and recollection of the truth in its supernal and consistent reality, we come to the wideness which can embrace and resolve and come to the heart, not through separated contrivance, through separated mediation, but only through reconciling and resolving that supernal and essential and uncaused margin, which, let us say, allows the self-nature and culmination in the essence of our own being to also recollect to the foundation of the natural condition of things, allowing us through no accidental means, but through an essential and intensive reality to comprehend and culminate in what could be called a non-dual witness. The mortal has done his sacrifice and achieved his labor, who has worked out the gift of the oblation with the fuel of thy flame, and wholly learned the way of the offering by his prostrations of surrender. So how does the wave perfectly deliver but by allowing the ocean behind it, the self-expression of the superior reality in its own principle, to be its cause, communion, recollection, seat and source of competent soul and union and guide? And doing such, he lives in thy God, in the presence of that reality which ensures the supernal essence at the completeness of things, and also holds in himself all desirable things. So awoken unto that clarification of unparted witness, the germ, the focal and unitive organic comprehension of self-reality, of unmitigated presence, of the eternal in its own eternity, of our own truth unto that superior truth, holds all the capacity for good and all possible things in its essence of awoken and clarified reality. O fire, O sun of force, perfect child that has no resistance to its witness, may we offer to thy greatness, thy supernal and comprehending, supreme and unlimited reality, that which is great, all the dimensions of ourselves and of witness and of the communion of inherent provenance of all reality, worshipping thee with obeisance, with bowing down to this superior truth and presence, and the fuel and the offering which are thine, and the altar and the word and the utterance. For we would work and strive in thy happy right thinking, O fire. O thou who art filled with inspiration and a passer of barriers, only by the light existing in the self-luminous, only in the generated existing in the ingenerable, the unmoved cause being the true residence of all, that perennial inspiration, that living and unbroken witness of the Satchitanand of natural law, of perpetual wedding within the presence of its own bounds. Can those own bounds be exceeded? Can those own bounds be given to their reality and presence of superior and supernal service? Can that spark become a true presence in the unbroken, ever-seeing sun and eye? Can that wave or ripple become an inheritance to the superior and unbroken cause of inherent and full reality? And so only through awakening to this sublime coincidence can that which is filled with inspiration be a passer of barriers? And thou who hast extended earth and heaven by the wideness of thy light, it's been unimposed upon, it comprehends all dimensions and margins, it is wide, unreverted, uncreate in the essence and soul of all being, and thy inspired discoveries of knowledge shine wider yet in us with thy large and solid and opulent massings, O fire. Become more unforced, unreverted, unconstrained, but self-expressive in the foundation of this fulfillment of presence and nature and life and cause. O Prince of Riches, as we find in the next, perfect inheritor, prince, regal inheritor of royal sway, for thence it is the perfect communication of essence and birth and realization that communicates to the heart and soul of all reality. Fix always in us that in which are the gods. Bring that divine full association to the presence and moment and bearing of its witness. Settle here many herds, many rays, for the word for ray and cow is the same and gives to a poetic deeper significance of surpassing the living and nourishing wealth, and also being the participant to the unbroken illuminant cause. Settle here many herds, many rays, for the begotten Son, for the perfect birthed child. In us may there be the happy things of true inspiration, and the multitude of the large impulsions from which evil is afar. O King, O ruling in present full dominion of unbroken reality in this self-law and reality of communication and witness, O fire, let me enjoy by thee and thy princehood of the riches in many ways. For, O fire of many blessings, there are many treasures for thy worshipper in thee, the King. So in this dependent condition, which involves the uncaused cause to full and universal, ever-present capacity, the full positive dimension of manifestational reality is cleansed and clarified, is settled into the greater positive of the superior whole. So like all the dimension motivating the equalization of a wave being realized in the ocean, in its unbroken full communion with it. So all the concern for inheritance, for realization, for bliss, for integration, for fulfillment of founding, for all organic dimensions of resolution and recollection in substantial essence of unparted being, which call past mountain merge to the truth and competent presence of the whole, are possessed in the situation of this uncoerced essence and reality, measure and truth and soul of nature's and our own truth of assumptions margin.